So we will start with a last panel, which will be dealing with overcoming the present crisis. And in this last panel, we will have two guests, Michael Hauser and Joan Oakman. We will start with Michal Hauser. Michal Hauser is a Czech philosopher, translator, and pedagogue. His philosophy dissertation at Charles University, Modernity and Negativity, Adorno's Perspective, in 2004 was also published as a book. Maybe I'll ask other people to start sitting down, sorry, so we can have a good setting. Today he's the chair of the Civic Education and Philosophy Department at the Faculty of Education at Charles University, where he teaches since 2003. He also works at the Philosophy Institute at the Czech Academy of Sciences since 1998. He has published also several books, including Capitalism as a Zombie, Why Do We Live in the World of Spectres, which was published in 2012. Also in that year, Ways Out of Postmodernism, a philosophical reflection of the era of transition, which will be also a little bit the talk of today. He has translated into Czech, among others, Žižek, Adorno, and Horkheimer's publication. In his work, which deals also with some kind of non-academic work, but he initiated the Socialist Circle, which is focused on the left theory, and that was founded in 2001. They translated a lot of works such as Jameson's Postmodernism or Cultural Logic of Late Capitalism. Also, Hauser focuses on critical theory, Western Marxism and post-Marxism, Adorno and Badiou's scholarship, and actually today the book, Badiou's Anthology of the Present, Society, Culture and Economy in Transition, has been published in Bloomsbury, so it's a new book. Michal, let me welcome you to the floor.
Thank you so much for your introduction. Yes. So, my contribution is slightly different from the previous one. I try to tackle some vivid issues in the contemporary situation and in a future. So, I propose to conceive the present time as an interregnum, in which, according to Gramsci, the old is dying and new cannot be born. This is a time in which plenty of traumatic and morbid symptoms appear. And we can place architecture in the time of interregnum in all these features. We can see that in the modernist period, architects and urban planners worked with a certain idea of space, that is with what Lefebvre calls the representation of space. They encountered political, social and economic reality and had to adapt their projects, yet they strove to realize ideas and thoughts derived from theory, emancipatory ideas and visual art that transcendent the given social practice. But in the period of the interregnum, this theoretical and transcendent aspect of architecture weakened, and architecture becomes connected with economic practice. This is the issue underlined by Jameson, who expressed the thought that just architecture is the closest to economic practice because of the need to tackle, for instance, land prices or commissions and other issues like this. And according Jameson, architecture is tightly connected with neoliberal or late capitalism. Douglas Spencer, mentioned by Hilde in his book The Architecture of Neoliberalism, how contemporary architecture became an instrument of control and compliance, examined this connection between architecture and neoliberalism in details. I skipped his analysis concerning the history of this interconnection, and I focus on the last chapter of this history, that is the contemporary stress on affect, as the strange focus on the contemporary architecture and neoliberalism as well. I quote, architecture is now invested in the production of affects, an uncoded pre-linguistic form of identity. Architecture form is assigned to task unmediated by any established culture or historical code of communicating with the molecular nature of contemporary reality. So affect is central to an understanding of our information and image-based late capitalist culture, in which so-called master narratives are perceived to have foundered. So representation and meaning are replaced with affect. In Spencer's account, neoliberalism is a form of our existence, because neoliberal economics forms the shape of our interpersonal relationships and a way of our living. But there is another dimension of neoliberalism. It is a so-called, Foucaultian term, neoliberal governmentality. And this is a strange interconnection between the immediate sensual perceiving of reality with the fact that just this form of existence is a form of our control. Affectivity is not only a free play or, and spontaneous reactions, but just this play is a neoliberal governmentality. This is the way how we are controlled. Spencer tackles the contemporary architecture just in this slide. Architecture creates a space that represents an interplay between the mode of existence and the mode of control. main feature of this architecture is the loss of a distance from the political and economical power that is a reality in our world, hidden or mixed with our sensual perceiving of reality. Nadir Ladigi is another architecture and theoretician who tackles this issue. He wrote Architecture Manifesto, appeared in 2019, and he tried to name to contemporary architecture, and he offered a rather confusing number of terms: neo-baroque, hypervisuality, phantasmagoria, pornography, aesthetic nihilism, and so on. Lahiji considers contemporary architecture to be a form of pure appearance that has erased all references to the real, in the sense of social antagonism, which are often connected with traumatic reactions. He paraphrases Alain Badiou and claims that, quote, appearance is everything and the real is nothing. And he adds that in contemporary architecture, hypervisualization prevails, in which the codes relating to disharmonious social dimensions are abolished, and the surface itself is the only level of meaning. Lahiji calls this aspect as neo-baroque, and he considered Frank Gehry and Zaha Hadid as the main representatives of this type of architecture. So I would pose a question, which is a question of vital meaning. What to do in this situation? We have some detailed pictures of contemporary architecture practices, and we know that we are facing so-called post-theoretical turn connected with affect and sensual pleasure and new kind of capitalist control. But can we formulate some starting points for a renewal of architecture? It is my key question. So both of them, Douglas Spencer and Nadir Lahiji, offered some propositions concerning architectonical vision. So Douglas Spencer turns to the forgotten power of reason. He refers to Kant and mainly to critical theory, and says that we can take a lesson from the Frankfurt School and to restore force or the vital power of negativity connected with reason. According to Adorno and other critical theoreticians, the first task of reason is to take a distance from a given state of reality. And then this is the concept of determined negation in the critical theory. And the so-called saving power of reason consists in the fact that we can create an alternative model of a situation or a society at all that is not a copy of the given reality. And Douglas Spencer suggests that architecture should absorb the impulses given by Frankfurt School and to insert in his thought the negative power of reason. The aim is to gain a lost distance from neoliberal capitalism and contemporary world with all effects and so on. Nadir Lahiji proposed more detailed propositions. I introduce 3, maybe, according to time. First one is that we should turn to Kant's idea of architectonics of reason. This is a similar move to Spencer. We should restore a form of reason. Architectonics of reason, Kant's term from Critique of Pure Reason, expresses a sense for building a system in which, according to Lahiji, we realize that a building cannot be built on some starting principle. This is move against so-called foundationalism, that is one or single founding principle. And we build a system on a single principle. So this is one proposal. The second one is so-called meta-building. Lahiji turns to Badiou as well and uses Badiou's concept of multiple one or counting multiple as one. It means that we gain a unity of elements without a strict synthesis. And the architecture construction could proceed in this way and so-called count multiples as one without strict, strong unifying them in a form of functionalist architecture. And the last proposal I will mention is Lahage's suggestion that architecture has its idea. This idea is conceived by Lahage as Badiou's idea of communism, or the emancipatory society that will overcome a class hierarchical system. And this idea is understood as a sequence occurred in the 20th century, and as a sequence that can appear in a future, maybe. The point is that this cycle of communist idea enables us to gain productive distance from the social reality as well, and we can gain energy and visions of an alternative social relations inside our reality. I would say that these two authors prepared some preliminary programs or manifestos with some inconsistencies, mainly in Lahage's case, and I would propose slightly different path towards a new vision in architecture. I will begin with a historical comparison. We can see another interregnum in history. This is, for instance, the interregnum took place in the late medieval ages, and we know the late Gothic architecture with, for instance, cathedral with ripped walls and plenty of stained glasses and many ornaments that operated in a mode of effects that tried to invoke sensual perceiving. So it is loose analogy to contemporary architecture, large analogy, and we can follow the Renaissance or the birth of Renaissance architecture as a reaction to the sensual late Gothic style. As you know, people like Brunelleschi or Alberti turned to Platonism and mathematics and geometry to create a thought space to emerge a new vision for architecture. The first reaction was to find a distance towards the late Gothic sensual affectuous architecture. And afterwards they created by repetitive procedures, because they resembled principle of ancient style, that they created something new. We can follow something similar in the case of architectonic modernism. This was a reaction to Art Nouveau style and various historical movement. This was a movement that was eclectic, historicist mode of architecture in the 19th century. In a modernist architecture, geometric and mathematic principles became a form-giving ones. They was found as a starting point, geometry and mathematics. This was a case when architecture and theoreticians tries to make a purification from abundance of sensual pleasure and affectuation. We can see similar reaction even in the contemporary architectonics, in architecture praxis. Certainly you know some streams in the contemporary architecture called neo-modernism and rationalism, characterized by purity of forms, minimalism, functionalism. I can introduce David Chipperfield, following Miss van der Rohe, Norman Foster, Eduardo Suto de Moura, Alvaro Siza, Anne Lacaton and Jean-Philippe Vassal, and their social or ethical neo-modernism or functionalism, principle of maximum space for minimum money, architecture for people, not for effect. In 2021, they even won the Pritzker Prize, the highest award in architecture. We can say that these movements in contemporary architecture correspond to Lahage's and Spencer proposals. This is the need of purification and to move to abstract forms or the rule of reason. But as a matter of fact, all these moves to some extent occurs in the contemporary architecture as well. This is something real architectural phenomenon. So my task maybe is to make a step forward. As in Renaissance architecture, there was a first step. We need to distance towards late Gothic. These modernist, neo-modernist authors made the first step. What we got? We have neo-modernism. This is an act of repetition. This is actually nothing really new. What this is neo, a kind of return to Mies van der Rohe and other modernists classics. So I would propose a concept that is only a preliminary sketch. We can understand architecture as a composed object because in architecture, art, science, politics, economics, and human and intimate dimension of human existence, personal life, meet. Architecture is an encounter of many dimensions. So we can draw upon Alain Badiou, who distinguished 4 domains of truths, that is artistic truth, scientific truth, political truth, and truth of love. This truth procedure have its determined shape, that is so-called the work. Badiou proposed in a manifesto for philosophy that philosophy should be seen as conditioned by all 4 domains and their truth procedures. And in sum, my proposal consists in a move that that we understand architecture as philosophy, and we try to compose its condition. Similarly to philosophy, the condition consists of 4 truth procedures or works, that is politics and science, art and work of art, of love, and we create a basis or bedrock as a form of thinking in architecture. This is not a concrete, detailed program, but a presupposition for this. I would like I would like mention Karel Tajge, Czech Marxist theoretician, and his essay Architecture and Class Struggle. This is an example of architecture conceived as interconnection of art and politics and economy. Tajge wrote that architecture practice should turn to the working majority and thus to the question of social housing. This is the issue of economic dimension of architecture. This is connected with a critical function of architecture that it is the critical analysis of the situation in which architecture is moving. Tajge spoke about deep crisis of the then capitalism and coined term that our cities became Pompeii of capitalism. So there is second layer of architecture. It is the level of construction. According to Badiou, we should start with the partial struggle for healthy and decent dwellings and the struggle for wages. That is the correct ratio between housing costs and wages, up to the final revolutionary goals, that is basic economic and social transformation, according to Tajge. Yeah. This is an example how to proceed. We can connect various offers and perspectives that can create a bedrock for architecture thought. And the appeal to architecture or theoreticians of architecture is to be creative and to compose all this perspective, political perspective, economical, artistic perspective, and scientific perspective of love, together to prepare the condition for appearing a really new architectonic style or architecture or maybe era in architecture. This era, of course, means that we begins look at the present situation from a hypothetical situation in the future that lies outside the interregnum. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael.